Okay, welcome back to Who We Needed, a podcast by me, Harrison Davis. If you are listening for the first time, thank you very much for coming. This is a self-help, mental health, motivation, and life podcast, I guess, where I just talk about some lessons that I'm going through, some topics that you ask me on social media, or just, experiences that we all go through. It's not the most professional setup. I'm coming to you from my living room right now, but this is the way I like it. Sort of raw, authentic, and just however it fits for me to film it. So here we are. This is the second week in a row that I'm filming this, and I'm very glad to be doing that. And the fact I'm staying consistent with this, even though right now it doesn't give me the outcome that I'm looking for or people would be searching for, and even though it's not perfect, I'm still going to do it and keep showing up until I keep getting better at doing this, and this becomes even more value to you. So yeah, this week's topic is quite a few things all sort of collected together because I think they fit together, but I have basically found myself stuck in a little bit of a rut, and that has sort of only come to me last week as a few things have sort of piled on top of each other. And I realized last week that for a while I haven't been showing up for myself properly. I haven't been doing the things I need to do or treating myself how I should treat myself, I guess. And I felt a little bit lost, and I felt like I was beating myself up a lot last week. So this episode is going to be about how but also how we can get ourselves out of that, and how we can just fall in love with ourselves a little bit more and be a best friend to ourselves. So this might not be the longest episode ever. I am currently very busy trying to sort some things out. So I am filming this podcast in some time that I have. I'm going to get it edited and get it out to you on Monday. But yeah, I guess the whole point of this podcast is just to try and find some value or share some experience of mine to you. So I'm just going to go for that and see where that ends up. So how do I go about pulling myself out of a rut and starting to be a little bit nicer to myself, both in my own head and just in my life? I think it starts by noticing. It starts by noticing some of the things that we have let slip, some of the times that we haven't been true to ourselves, some of the times that we might be getting lost in outside noise or activities that don't feel like us, or whatever it may be in your life. So I realized that I wasn't giving 100% to the things that I usually do and the things that make me feel good about myself, whether that is my running, my work, whether it is just my morning routine. I was giving myself excuses and I was ducking out of them. So I think noticing those things when you start to feel a little bit low, if you are questioning yourself or you find yourself doubting who you are, what you show up as, whatever, that might be a sign that you haven't given the time to the things that you need to. And that is certainly where I was. And I need to add that I am not coming at this podcast from some toxic sort of over the top, you need to do this sort of vibe. I don't agree with that. I just think we all have non-negotiables that we have built up over years of routines and just becoming who we are, that if we drop them out of our routine, we will notice it somewhere in our life, whether it's our health, whether it's our thoughts, whether it's our belief, or even the skills or things that we have in this world. If we give them up, we might not notice straight away, but we will down the line. So yeah, like I said, that's where I was. I had stopped showing up myself. I had stopped my morning routine and fallen into a bit of a habit of making excuses for the things that I should do. I was choosing the easy wrong over the hard right. And I think we should choose the hard right over the easy wrong. And I've heard Nick Baird talk about that. You may know him, you may not, but he's a sort of social media figure. He's an endurance athlete. He owns a massive company, and he talks about it a lot. He talks about how he just chooses to do the hard right over the easy wrong. That's the only criteria he has. What is the right thing to do? It doesn't have to be the easiest, it doesn't have to be the most straightforward, but what is the right thing that you should do? And I think I was laying in bed knowing I should go out and do my 10K easy run, for example. But I was staying in bed, I wasn't getting up, I was scrolling my phone. I'd wake up, go downstairs, eat something rubbish out of the cupboard instead of having a decent breakfast before I run, or whatever it may be. I was negotiating with myself. I was talking myself out of the things that I knew I needed to do. And it all came to me last week, really, because I felt rubbish. I was doubting myself. I was feeling like an imposter in my own life with some work that had come my way, and I wasn't talking to people when I'd see them. I was very closed off and just very anxious, to be honest. Now that you have an idea of what I mean, where I am, where I've been in a bit of a rut, I guess the point is, what do we do? How have I showed up for myself more than I was the previous month, for example? And I guess where I started was keeping it simple. What do I need as a person? What things are part of the package that makes up who I am? For me, that is moving my body, that is learning and creating, that is connecting and sharing. And I wasn't doing those things. So I've reset. I started moving. I started running each morning that I needed to, that was on my program, whether I felt like it or not, because I stopped making excuses that weren't valid, because valid excuses are fine. If I was ill, then that's fine. If I was injured, that's fine. If I didn't have time, that's fine. But I did have time. I wasn't injured. I wasn't ill. And I was telling myself, oh, it'll be okay. I'll run later. I'll do it tomorrow. But that tomorrow doesn't really ever come when it comes to the non-negotiables. So yeah, that's what I started doing. I stopped negotiating with myself, and I just got up and got out there. No excuses. I just got straight up, got my running stuff on that was already laid out from the night before, and I went out there and I did it. And I guess that's part of it that I've just thought of, is removing any distractions or any friction between you and that thing that you feel like you need to do. Getting the clothes ready the night before so that I could get up and get out there. I think that's important for me. If I know that there's no resistance or as little resistance as possible, I know I'm going to go and do it. Because when I find myself making these excuses, I tell myself I don't have enough time because I need to get all my stuff ready and I need to do this and get my shoes out of the van because I've left them in there from the night before. And I try and make up that I don't have time when those things would only take 5 minutes. But if they're out the way, they're out the way. I have no excuse. I can go and do it. But I guess the more deeper, more connective level of what I'm trying to talk about and what I want to get across to you is the fact that we have to be our best friend to ourselves. And I'm sure you have that person in your life, the one that's very close to you, or the people that are very close to you. And if they asked you to show up for them, whether it be 5 a.m. or 10 p.m. at night, you would drop things instantly to go and help them. If they asked you to show up for them, you would be there. You'd want to hold the trust in them. You'd want to show them you're a good friend, and you just love them so much that you go and do that thing for them. And if they are down, then you're there for them. You're a shoulder to cry on. You're the person that they can talk to. You're the person that's going to pick them up. And when they win, you're the one that celebrates them the most. The one that raises them up, tells everyone about it. That is how you have to be for yourself. That is how we have to be for ourselves. Because we are our own biggest critics. And I honestly think that one of the biggest reasons that we do find ourselves in a rut is because we start to do the wrong things. We start to miss out on the things that we know we need to do. We stop showing up for ourselves. And every time we do that, we judge ourselves even more. We put more pressure on ourselves. We start to hate on ourselves more and beat ourselves up for it. And that's when we spiral. And then all of a sudden, a week comes along where you feel really low, you keep doubting yourself, and you really feel like you're stuck because you've had weeks and weeks and weeks of beating yourself up. So I guess the point of this whole podcast is going to be the fact that we have to show up for ourselves like we do our best friends and the people that we love. The way we go out of our way to make sure that they are happy and that we are supporting them and showing up for them and being there for them. And that's exactly how we should be with ourselves. So here's this week's example, or should I say last week's example, of how I brought myself back a little bit. So I'm currently training for Barcelona half marathon. I'm currently training for Barcelona half marathon that I'm doing with Runner. So this means I have got a plan set out. All on my phone, every morning I wake up and I can see my running and my strength sessions. Therefore, I have the routine there, I have the schedule there, and I just have to stick to that, and I have to get up and get it done. Whilst I wasn't in a good place, I wasn't doing that. But last week, I made absolute sure that I was going to do that for myself. I was going to show up and get all of them sessions ticked off, get that big green tick emoji on all of those sessions. And that's what I did. So Monday morning, I started the week, I got up and I made absolute sure that I was going out there with the intent that I was doing it for me. And the fact that I get to get up and go for a run is amazing. And I remembered that. Then Tuesday came around, it was a rest. So I made sure to rest, but still do some stuff that made me feel good. I went to the gym and got a gym session done. Wednesday the same, had my session, did that. Thursday session, did that. Saturday comes around, I had a session, but I had to break it up because of run club. I didn't make an excuse telling myself that I had run club so I couldn't do it. I just made sure I got the mileage done anyway. And that's how we can sometimes compromise. We can sometimes change, but make sure that we know we are showing up for ourselves. Same goes for my morning routine. I made sure to focus on my morning routine last week and this week and the rest of the weeks leading up, as I keep reminding myself to show up and be a friend to myself. So I added some non-negotiables that I just wrote in my notes for every morning. It might differ day to day because I had different stuff to do, but it consisted of me waking up as soon as my alarm went off. No negotiating, no laying around, no making excuses, no telling myself that I can have 10 more minutes. I would just get up. I'd head downstairs, I'd make myself a green tea, and I'd get my journal out. I made sure to leave my phone upstairs. I made sure to not be on my phone scrolling and find myself an hour later still on my phone, not having journaled, not done the right things, and missed out on the time I had to do the things I should do, I guess. And after that, I would then crack on with the work I needed to do. And I noticed a massive difference in my productivity and the way I just felt about myself and my work, because I hadn't spent all morning comparing myself to people online or watching stupid videos that I shouldn't be watching or whatever. There are times to scroll, there are times to zone out and just be on your phone for sure. I don't disregard that. But I think as soon as we wake up, it's just not a good time. And that habit of getting up and jumping out of bed and going downstairs to journal, that was a key for me. And I think that showed me that I wasn't just lazing around. I wasn't making myself feel bad for doing it. I was getting up and doing something straight away that made me feel good about who I am. And I guess that's what this is all about. It's just about actually liking the person that we are and then thinking that the person that we are is doing the right things and not the wrong things. And then something that I'm heavily working on at the moment is my diet, not eating rubbish. As I've become self-employed and having a lot more time to do whatever I want to do with that time, I found myself snacking and eating loads of rubbish. And this is very individualized to me, but I just find myself eating so much food that I don't need to be eating. It's just because I don't have a specific place to be. I'm kind of just picking up whatever food's around me. So that's another thing to focus on for me, is to make sure I eat right. I don't go snacking around and I don't just eat a load of rubbish. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and how I've added this into my life. If that gives you some value, maybe an example of of the way that you can help yourself and the way that you can maybe find yourself sort of dragging yourself out of a rut. But I know that you people watching this video, the people that follow me on social media, we all think a lot, we feel a lot, we are creative, or maybe we're athletes or whatever it may be. You follow me for one of those reasons, probably, because that's what I share. So I know that you have big dreams, you're ambitious, you want to do amazing things, because I always talk about chasing our dreams. And I think it's important to know that at the end of the day, we just have to be a good person for ourselves. Of course, we need to look after those around us and the community that we have, but I think it's so, so important that when we come to the crossroads of a decision, we take a second, we take a breath, and we decide, is this the right thing to do? I recently changed one of the backgrounds on my phone to just do good. It literally just says in some scripture writing, just do good. So each time I come to a decision, whether it's to eat a banana or eat a chocolate bar, I do the good thing, the thing that's going to be good for me tomorrow, and I eat the banana. If someone looks a little bit lost as I walk past them, the good thing to do is to ask them if they're okay, to ask them if they need help. The easy thing to do is just to walk past. The good thing to do is to get up and do my running session. The easy thing to do is lay in bed and tell myself I'll do it later and try and squeeze it in down the line. To be good is maybe one of the hardest things. I recently reminded myself of a quote that says, it's not easy, but it is simple. And I guess that ties in nicely. The easy thing is not always the right thing to do. And I think sometimes in our generation or our society, we have removed as many obstacles as we can to make everything easy. But it doesn't have to be that way, and I don't think we are built that way. We can overcome, we can battle, we can learn, and we can do the things that need to be done, the hard things that need to be done. Some days that is just getting out of bed and making our bed. Some days that is going on a 20-mile long run. We should choose the good, the right thing to do. And I think we always thank ourselves for that in the end. We will always stand up and be proud of who we are if we do the right thing. And of course, like I said about earlier, there are always valid excuses. Valid excuses do exist, but we know deep down when we are making one that is not. And I think that is where I found myself, making excuses, trying to convince myself that they were real when they weren't. They were just things that I was putting in the way of doing the right thing, the good thing to do. I don't want you to be over the top. I don't want you to run yourself into the ground. I don't want you to think that you have to be some superhero to be happy with who you are. I just want you to know that you can do the right thing, the good thing, and not the easy thing always, not the easy wrong. You're a good person, and you don't deserve to not like who you are because you made a few wrong decisions. I just think we have to be conscious, we have to be present, and we have to make sure that when we come to the crossroads of any decision, no matter how big or small, we just think about what the right thing to do is, what we're going to be proud of 5, 10, 15 minutes later, a week later, a month, or a year later. We all know. And I guess that's probably why I love running so much. Because I know in 13 weeks, is it 13? 12 weeks, I know that when I stand on that start line, either I'm going to have 12 weeks of excuses, I'm going to have 12 weeks of hard work, of choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, and evidence that I showed up for myself. And running reflects the same as life does. When I get to that tough time in a race, I know I'm going to have showed up for myself, or I know I'm not in the space to say that. It's the same with life. So many of us, or so many people in the world, They get low, they get sad, they get lost because they know they haven't shown up for themselves. And they try and convince themselves that they have, but they haven't. And I don't want that for us. I want us all to show up for ourselves and go and do the right thing. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit about how to get out of a rut. It's a little bit about my life, and it's a little bit about how I think we should move in terms of decisions and things that we do. I hope if you're in a rut, you just remind yourself of who you are. Be proud of who you are and don't get too caught up in the negative thoughts, or don't get caught up at all. Notice them, let them go. And tomorrow you wake up and you have a new chance to be your best friend and do the right things and be proud of who you are. Start small. If you're in a rut, start very small. And build up and build up and take confidence from each tiny little thing that you change for yourself. I guess that's it. I guess that's it for me this week. I'm sorry that this is a short episode, but I've had to rush this a little bit and get it out because I've been busy over the weekend doing other stuff, working on other bits, but I appreciate you for listening. I hope you took a little bit of something away from this, and I hope you go and do great things this week. I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate you for showing up. And yeah, this has been Who We Needed by me, Harrison. I look forward to seeing you next week. Maybe from my new office. You'll have to watch the YouTube to see what that's about. Take a breath and remember that what you are doing is amazing. And remember that you are amazing. Love you lots. See you next week.